everyone, welcome to the Ask Unique Events show. Today we're talking with Josh Booth about a little videography, something that a vendor type that we work with on a super regular basis. I know very little about it. Josh actually records all of our blogs and throws them together and makes them look neat for us. So we figured, what a better opportunity to talk to a videographer than when you have one here recording your blog and don't have a subject to talk about. Not that we wouldn't have talked about it anyway, but so anyway, you know, from a videography standpoint, I mean, we've worked with a number of them over the years, and you know, from a DJ perspective, you know, we usually just get asked, you know, if we have an output for their audio. That's the only thing I tell with customers: if they have a videographer, let them know, you know, they can get direct audio out of our system. And after that, like, I know nothing about what actually happens. So, what are some things, I guess, that that you think would be important for our audience to know about your type of service and your company, maybe?
I think definitely audio is, for me, the number one thing. When you're at the ceremonies, it's key, you know, to make sure that your videographer has a direct input to the soundboard at the church. Same at the reception. Ask your videographer how many sources of audio does he or she capture for your wedding, because if one fails, then you always want to have a backup. In our case, we do 3 different audio sources, and so to make sure that if we lose one, we still have the other. We mic our groom so that it picks up him and the bride. Another thing that a lot of customers ask us is, how intrusive will we be, or if we will be too much in their face, or that's a major concern that we get quite often. And for us, we tend to use telephoto lenses, which are long lenses that will allow us to be 20, 30 feet away from you and still capture the moment. But we've had couples that say, you know, I don't mind, get whatever shots you need and stop us, and you do your thing. That's what I'm paying you for, and we can adapt to that as well.
I've seen, and just to speak to that, we've DJ'd enough weddings to see videographers that have to get right up in somebody's face, like on the first dance, and they're just like trying to like have this moment. They got this camera just like right in their grill there. Yeah, so I don't even pay attention to that, I guess, the lens aspect, but it's good to know that you don't have to be right up in their face on that.
Yeah, you shouldn't. So regardless of who you go with, make sure you ask that. Make sure you find out what kind of lenses they shoot with. How far away from you will they be during the ceremony? You don't want a videographer right in your face, because I've seen it, you know, and I've seen and heard of instances where the videographer will stand directly in your path as you're walking down the aisle. So, you know, and just, you know, as Travis said, right on the dance floor in your face. That's not what we're there for.
So, photographers, why do you all hate each other? And talk a little bit about that.
Well,
they don't all hate each other, but it's just, there's always a photographer, videographer, like headbutting, not headbutting, but they're all after the same goal, but sometimes it can get interesting. What do you think about that?
Well, this is my second season, and my first season, I got asked that question every single time, it seems like. This is my photographer, do you work well with them? And I couldn't figure out why they would always ask that question, because I'm not the intrusive type. I am laid back in the background, and so I've never had that problem. And actually, most photographers that I work with say, hey, you were so different than the last video guy. They were all up in the couple's face, and I couldn't get my shots, and they were all in my way. You know, I would definitely recommend you again. So, yeah, so it's the reasons why they hate each other is because they butt heads a lot. You know, you'll see the photographer step in front of the videographer and vice versa. As far as me and what I do is, before every wedding, I get to know the photographer and I say, hey, this is the shots that I expect to get, and just let me know how I can stand in a position in a way that won't get in your field of view, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's something, you know, vendors working together, you know, vendors that work well together as couples, you'll never see all the stuff that we do behind the scenes to help him get his product, to help me get done what I need to get done, to make sure your caterer is taken care of, just all this stuff. Vendors that work well together is such an important thing, because at the second they don't, when a videographer and a photographer are having issues, then that's when the couple will start to notice it, or that's when guests, or even us vendors, we have to be like, oh man, these guys are both complaining about each other. So to have people that are respectful, have vendors that are respectful of each of other vendors' responsibilities and services is a huge thing. So I guess any other subjects you deal with on a regular basis that you think people need to know about?
I think just that, and allowing for time in I feel like videographers don't get the amount of attention that they need from the couple. I see time and time again, the timeline is already made out by the time the couple approaches us, and it's the photographer who's laid it out, and the time is so close together that it won't allow you to be interviewed on camera, read letters on camera, and then you'll have to switch some stuff around, and that might upset the photographer. So I would say just keep that in mind as you're working through your timeline. If you haven't picked out a videographer yet, just allow for a little room. Don't put everything so close together, so that when you do contact the videographer, if you end up going with one, then you'll have that space in there to do whatever you want for your film.
I'm guessing that's something that, like, if they called you ahead of time and said, hey, I'm getting ready to lay out my timeline, is that, you could give ideas on
Absolutely.
How much time you might need for
Always do.
each segment?
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Well, hope you guys got some useful information out of that. Once again, Josh Booth with
Diamond Label Films.
Boom. Check them out online. I'm sure I'll have a link down here somewhere, or on the front page, or above us, or something like that. But check them out. Let us know if you have any questions. Like, share, comment. Let us know what subjects you want us to talk about, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.